Hello. Hello. Hey. Okay. I exist. I'm alive. Had to do a thing, but I'm back now. So hello, you good folks. Interested in making video games with a B? Usually with a B now. Because some annoying retard on the internet said it several times and it's stuck. And now I can only say video games. I never say video games, it's only video games. And it's gay as fuck. It's a dated meme. And it makes me look old and retarded. Hey. So let me get opening everything up. And we can get started. Okay. Gotta check whatever I have open. Let me open up Fusion. Lamau, did you see my video in the Discord? I mean, not yet. Because the audio is gonna play through the stream, so maybe later. This stream is gonna be pretty much a continuation of yesterday, which people wanted to make a boss fight and have it be a scrolling boss. So I'm gonna be continuing that. So let's do it. All right, we're back in here. Okay, so what do you guys want me to do for the day? Before I do anything that you guys suggest me, I'm gonna do several other things, so start thinking about what you want. Also, yeah, FNAF was made with Click Team. I know it says in the bottom that it says that I'm playing FNAF. I'm not actually playing FNAF, it's just that every time I type I am playing Click Team Fusion 2.5, it resorts to FNAF. And it just forces me to say I'm playing fucking FNAF. I cannot do anything about it, at least I don't think I can. But I mean, whatever. So yeah. Okay, so let's get straight into it. I don't think there's any time delaying this. So make timestamp. So the first thing that I'm going to be doing is the ball from Litoria Bay. Basically, in Litoria Bay or park in Spark, you would have this ball that would go around spinning, and the point in that is that what you want is to mess with this type of enemy. It's the police bot from Spark, probably somewhere in here. Where did I even put it? There, it's right down here. I like to keep my enemies and stuff like inside of the frame and not outside, just in here. But yeah, we're gonna be doing an enemy that's like this one. And there's a lot that we need to go over, so somewhat, in order to make one of those. This is before you move into the boss, because you can actually make a boss that is one of those things. So I may not go through the process of basically like making the whole thing, but I'm going to be doing something a little bit more simple. So let me make the timestamp and we can get straight into it. It's gonna be 04. I'm gonna go 0450. It's not 0450, is it? Okay, so it's 0430. All right, let's get to it. Okay, so here's what you can do. We already have this guy over here, and we're gonna copy and paste him pretty much. And we're not gonna be making this thing an enemy, we're more gonna be making this into just an actual thing, like an actual object that moves around and interacts with the player more than an enemy. So basically, you have Police Bot over here, and if you double click on it, it has all of its animations and whatnot. And as you can see, it's right there. But it also has something interesting. At the bottom, you got collider tests. You got top collider, bottom collider, and let me zoom in. You can see, and blue collider and whatnot. So what are those there for? Well, if you put everything in one frame, then you can sort of see them a little bit better. And now you have a little bit of a tutorial. Basically, let me delete the tutorial. And if you play, now you can see. You might not be able to see this on YouTube. So let me lower the speed severely. Now you see that the colliders flash and then the enemy flashes. So all that you have to do in here, You can also adjust the sizes of those things if you want to. Basically, you adjust the hotspot so those colliders aligned with the police spot. So basically red is right, blue is left, yellow top and green down. It's just like the regular sensors. And you just gotta align them. Those sensors are interesting because of the way it works in the code is that we switch the animation to the sensor, then we check collision when the sprite has turned into a sensor, and then we go back to whatever animation that we had before, and then we also change the frame and change the animation speed back to what it was. It's a very interesting way of checking collision. This, however, only really works in Click Fusion for some reason. It's a weird way that they do things. Don't try this out on other engines. So let's cancel it. So now, oh, and by the way, make sure to copy all of those to all of those collider things. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna clone the police bot. And we're gonna clone the spawner just because. Now we're gonna make the police bot into a ball. So first things first, we delete this animation. Delete this, and in here delete everything. Should have pressed enter instead of delete. Right. And now, before anything, how's the audio? Can anyone tell me about the audio? Can you guys hear me? What is the rate? How loud is the music? Because I've been worried about the music. Because I feel like it was a bit too loud in all of my other streams. Anyways, let's set this to 64 in this thing. Now we're gonna click new. And generally, you're not able to draw those things when you have a sprite because it has an alpha channel. So it's only going to be drawing where the alpha isn't like completely like that. So basically, we're going to draw a ball. And let's make it some other color and not red. So I don't know, purple. Inside a lighter purple inside of it. This is just so we can have some sprite. There, we got some. And make it like a darker, too dark. There we have our ball. Now we're just gonna leave it there. Really, make sure you put the hotspot in the center. Now you want to align the sensors with this ball. So here's what you do. You go in collider test to delete this one. You copy up the ball sprite or whatever sprite that you want as a reference in collider test. Now you click play and, you know, let's lower the speed like 20 or something like that. I believe this is 20% of and by the way, you always keep low speed and high speed the same value. It really doesn't matter. But it's a percentage of 60 frames per second. So it's a percentage of your maximum speed. So if you set it to 50, it's like 30. Right, so now as you can see, it's not aligned well, like at all. And you can maybe make the sensor a little bit bigger. So what you do is they'll go over here and increase the width. Like let's say 24. Right, and then it has a little gap in there and you just paint it. Right, but the hotspot was like changed. So you move it a little bit more towards the center. Now as you can see, could be a little bit better. Right, that seems a bit better. Now over here we can do the same. Oh, the hotspot. This 23. It's fine. So is this real soon supposed to be half an hour? Vada, you can like refresh the stream, dude. Someone tell Vada to refresh the stream, please. Because it's running. Yeah, it's running. Now over here, I just made this sensor bigger for some reason, so I can just color shit in. So now we have something a little bit better. Let's change the top sensor to be on its actual top. Refresh the stream, you dingus. So it's 35, and you can copy the positions too. So it's like 15. Put it in here. Since it's just reversed, you can just set it to negative. On the x-axis, I mean. And now we got better sensors. Still a little bit too far, so we can adjust things. put this like 20. Maybe this will work. There, kinda. Let's move the blue one a little bit. There we go. There's still some gaps in, and if you actually get into a platform around those parts, it might have some issues. But the thing is like it happens with regular Sonic too, and it's not exactly all that bad. But this isn't it. Now we have to copy those sensors into the right spots. So we can copy this sensor in here. Now the green one, bot collider. The blue one over here, and the red one over here. And you gotta always delete the other one. That's how it works. Now with the spawner, let's just get the ball. What I like to do is that I copy the ball, and then I go in the alpha channel. Let's make an alpha channel, and then I edit the alpha channel. So there's like something around those parts. This is how we make our spawner. That's the spawner. Let's change the name too. So like ball spawner, and ball. So ball is by default not set to be created at the start because we copied the police officer. And it already has all the qualifiers that we need. I'm not sure why it needs the 9 qualifier. I guess because just the other enemies had it, so I put it in there. Or not. Yeah, the fish has it for some reason. I don't know what the 9 qualifier does, but it just has to be there for some reason. You cannot have them there too. It might just work. It was trying to load the 4-second video as a stream. Which 4-second video? Okay. Alright, let's get into coding the ball then. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy the code for the police guy. And then I'm going to show you how it works. I believe I've shown this before at some point, but I'm going to show it again. It's not in here. What am I doing? Level objects code, enemy, and then this police bot. So we're going to copy police bot. Let's just go anywhere else. Copy, let's make this ball. Now physics setup is pretty much just a setup for everything. Remember yesterday when we did the particles? This is very much the same. It's just that it sets up everything individually, but for the boss. For the police bot. So we can drag this in here, and we can. We always could do destroy, but just because it's the easiest way to just get the icon. So now when you action event loops, we set. I think this wasn't the spawner, right? No, sometimes the icon's just very similar and you can kind of like lose track. I think it's just this. Right, so now we just do this. We just set all those things. This is almost exactly, except for spin speed, which is something I had before, but I ended up not using. Because I had a more robust particle system that ended up not being more robust at all. So right now we have to create the ball at the ball spawner. Now we're comparing distance between this and the spawner, so we pretty much did this. By the way, you don't really have to alter the name of the loop. You can pretty much just have it stay the same because the loop is running for a specific object, not running for like everything. It's just for that specific object, so it can be called the police bot loop even though it's for the ball. We don't really have to change it since we're gonna have to change it several times. Might as well just leave it the same. So now we're just doing all this. And this is pretty much what creates it. And it sets the AI state to 1. We're not gonna need this right now. We're gonna be using this when we get to the boss. So I'm gonna delete this for now. And delete the debugger. At least for now. Now in set physics and collisions, that's the important part. So basically it has certain values for the gravity and friction and whatnot. Right? And I don't believe it. This should have been done. Are we doing this right? Yeah, no, this should not have been here. I don't know why it is. But basically, when we instantiate the ball in the spawner, we set the gravity and friction to certain values, and we set the Y speed to 0. But it is already zero for some reason, 0. And then it destroys the spawner. Right, but now I just put all those things on top of here. Here's the interesting thing. We have a value called image. Not image, we have a value called frame save that we set to image of this. This image is not the actual texture, but it's just called image for some reason. But it is the, I believe if you go into any object, you go into animation and a current animation frame, it becomes image. It's just whatever value, this is a value, this is a number. That is the current frame that you're on. And then we have a new value called animation save that is in it, that we set to animation number, which you set by going here, animation value, anim number. That's what it is. And then we change the animation to left collider. And now we have a whole group around the left sensor where it checks collision with things. And this is a very interesting thing because if it and this is one of the reasons why this thing doesn't always work well enough if there's multiple of them on the screen, because you just have to do one of those things. And basically, you have to do a fast loop. But the problem with doing that fast loop is that it works for every object on the screen, so this kind of screws up a little bit sometimes. But basically, we just check if this object is overlapping a sensor, and if it's overlapping, we set left collider to a value left code to 1, which it tells you that the left collider is actually, we reset those over here too. And if it's like colliding with something, then the left collider will be equal to 1, so you can check if there's like a collision on the side. Right, so we do the same for group 0, which are actives that are colliders, instead of just backdrops, which is generally most objects that they're going to be colliding with. And we, over here, if the sensor is active, then it checks if it's colliding again, and it sets the X speed to 0, and now you have to push the object out of the wall. So over here, we're adding something to float X until it's not colliding anymore, and then it won't trigger this anymore. That's basically the logic around it. Is that if it's not colliding, then it just moves on. But as long as it is colliding, I think, yeah, it sets to run like 35 times. So it runs this loop 35 times, and it pushes it out of the way if it's colliding with the wall. It's actually quite a lot to be 35, but yeah, it does work though. So yeah, now I just gotta copy this. That's how mostly collision works. Like, I think if you're able to see the subpixels in like Mario, it would work like this, as in it's like gradually pushing Mario away from the wall if it detects collision. But it does it so fast and in between frames, like in between a frame, like it's a 60 FPS game, in between those 60 frames, not those 60 frames, in between like an individual frame, it does all of this. I mean, technically everything is being done in between. Don't mind the truck. God, it's loud. God. Now everything else is being done for all the sensors too. So you pretty much just go and do this. Oh yeah. One thing that we might want to do is that we might want to change this to something like BLS. And this will be bowel left sensor. I kind of forgot about it. But yeah, we do this again. And now for this, let me just do this for everything pretty much. Because this is actually quite some basic work. For the down sensor, things are a little bit more complicated. But, there's like friction being applied and things like that. Because there's a friction value that we set before. In a more advanced game, technically friction would be set by the ground itself. But still. Since, it's a 2D game, we can generalize things generally. Alright. You gotta keep doing it. Shame that we can't make it like in code. You would make like a class or something like that it would apply to an object and it would have all those properties already. Oh yeah, over here we changed the animation sequence back to what it was before, and then we use restore animation frame so it can go back to normal. However, there's another property you need to keep in mind. If you go in the ball over here, there is compatibility, And there's this option: do not reset current frame duration when animation is modified. If you don't select this, this will not work. In a lot of objects, this isn't selected because I think this is a new function of Fusion. They changed something internally, and I remember when this actually got added, everything broke in Spark because we used the system a lot. So yeah, and then it took me a while to actually realize that there was a button for it, because as far as I can tell, there was no patch notes. Can you make the window just a tad bigger? I think I can zoom in. Probably zoom. Oh, it's so bad. I hate zooming in. But what do you mean by making the window just... I'm not gonna fill the screen. It's... someone might be being a little bit OCD for that. But try to maximize your window while working on this if you can. Or watching this if you can. I hate zooming in Fusion. I just want to have a view of everything, but I can't because I keep zooming in. Like, oh, and don't forget to change the sensor names. Right. So now, when it sets animation to right collider, you can set this to P to B. RS ball right sensor. Now I can just copy and paste it. I think the code for this anime is actually rather shitty. I could have done something better, but this is so much easier to do in Unity or any other engine. It took me such a long time to figure this one out. I hate it. Ball down sensor. BDS. Oh, and there's so much things over here. No, it's just bad. It's not even calling the loop because there's like a problem. I don't even know. Like, this took me such a long time to figure out and actually get working. That's why I included it in Not So Simple Worlds, because it's just so goddamn useful. And it's like the backbone of like Spark. And I was only able to make this like halfway throughout developing the entire damn game. But how do you mean making the window bigger? You mean making the text bigger? Because I can't make things any better. I really don't think I can. I really don't know what you mean, man. It must be zoom in. So BTS is gonna happen eventually. But yeah, now we run that shit. The click scene window? You mean Fusion? Sorry, Solar, I just really don't understand. You mean this? Because this is, I can make this, I can zoom in, but I cannot make this any bigger. Or this. You know, I just can't, or this, I can't make it any bigger. Maybe we're just missing something. But yeah, now that we're done the physics setup and other things, and this, we're done with this, and we just remember what it does. Basically, all you gotta do is you gotta replace everything with your current thing, and you gotta change the name of the loops. That's all. That's all you really gotta do. Oh, and there's also this thing over here that I absolutely forgot. And if it did forget, it would be really bad. Make sure you actually add this where it stops the loop, because there's a function to stop the loop if it's not colliding with anything else, which is pretty much vital, or else the loop's gonna be running for a very, very long time. Let me check if I just did everything. I think I did it. This is gonna be rather boring because adding an enemy like this is kind of boring. Still not gonna make this an enemy. You're just gonna make it thing. Now there's an interaction group, which is basically what we did before. We're gonna leave this one. Let's just delete it. Really, we're gonna be adding interactions later on. So now in the AI we got whatever it will do. In this case, we're going to add the code that will actually make it do things. So let's go. It should like go over here or something like that. We just did an event, really. Let's copy everything. This is a little event that's made to destroy the thing if it's too far away from the camera. So it despawns it. Now in the AI, let's just call it ball AI. We're just gonna code how the ball will work, and it's gonna be super simple. So at the start of the ball is created, you might as well add some speed to it. So X speed, let's make it to -6, so it goes to the left like that. Now, we need to pretty much just check the sensors and make it do things based on the sensors. That's all there is to it. So we go over here, compare the value. Bot collider, if bot collider is equal to 1, we set the speed to whatever the fuck. So we go in here, variable value set. Y speed, so let's say -7. And now we should do this for every other one. So if it's colliding with the left collider, we set the X speed now. It doesn't really take into account physics or anything like that, but yeah. Also, by the way, someone asked for me to do this yesterday. That's why I'm doing it today. It was just kind of left out because I had to go. So I think it's -7 if it's hit by the right sensor. If it's hit by the top sensor, yeah. Why did I do that? It's right collider -7. Oh, I just had to deal with some shit today, and I'm already tired. I hate this. And I've already finished animating a whole nother cutscene in Farc 2, so I'm just like, Jesus fuck. I think someone joined my server twice and made 2 accounts by mistake. It's fine. I'm just gonna kick the first one. So now, top collider, we set Y speed to 7. So now, if this thing is on screen, we just create the ball. So let's give it a play. Let me just check if everything's right. Hey, I forgot one thing. And by the way, I might as well just disable the blood. Remember the blood that we did yesterday? There's some blood. Let's disable the blood. Oh yeah, I can't do the click scene window. I can't full screen it. If I full screen it, you can't see everything because my monitor is bigger than this. There's a lot more over here. Like, if I just show it to you, there's more. Can't really do that. It's actually bigger than 180p. I'll disable that blood. Yo, Vada, did you see the blood yesterday? That was amazing. Alright, so yeah, we need this loop over here that I forgot to add. It just makes sure that this applies to every single ball and not just a random one the click team picks up. So now you get in there, that's the ball. There's friction, unfortunately, so it does that, and it's taking a while to bounce because of that one issue with the collision I mentioned before. So one good way is just have one on screen. This is very unfortunate. It's just a very unfortunate sound effect of that. Let's close the room a little bit so we can see the ball bouncing. And I'm gonna disable the friction too, so we see what happens. We can even add some sound effects too, so let's add some sound effects. So let's play sample. Oh, let's not add that sound. That'd be funny. Which one should we add? Snap. That doesn't work. That's a Tails' fly sound. It'll be great, trust me. Right, so in physics setup, we have friction. It's called frick. We just set it to 0. This is before I knew Sammy, by the way. There we have a ball. It goes around and moves around. Let's try adding more and see if it has any issues. Generally they work. Yeah, but that problem still persists. Where they kind of stay on the ground a little bit for some reason. one way to fix this is instead of doing it via this, would be to do the ball right in the center. You know, adding that that event right over here instead. That would be one way to fix that, but I think that's enough for the ball because we've been at this for a little bit too long. So yeah. How long have we been here for? Like 30 minutes? Jesus, man. There's a lot more to do too. Alright, before we move on to making the boss fight, why don't we take a suggestion for like a quickier thing? So is there anything that's a little bit more simple that you guys want to try to do? Give me any suggestions. Anything. Hammer boss. You know what? We can try doing that. Let me just see everyone else's suggestion. Mighty's flying? Didn't know he could fly? Cutscenes are too big. And I've already tried doing some of them, and I technically did it. The peel out from World 0.5? I'll not do that. 3D special stage based on Mania. I don't think that can be done in Fusion, sorry. It might be, but I don't feel like trying. How to make spark attack? Maybe I'll teach you that later. But you know what? Someone asked for that hammer, and since it's really quick, I'll do it. I'll make the goddamn hammer. It's fine. All right, so let's start by just making a little hammer object. This is gonna be really quick, so just don't mind me. I'm just gonna be doing like a hammer object that just goes and pounds the ground. Just goes like this. And that's it. By the way, you can make that into an animation if you want to. That is possible. You can just animate that frame by frame. It's not too hard, but it's doable. So here we have a hammer. But let's make it a little bit more shiny, I guess. Because we're going to be placing this point down here. And I think one thing that you can do is just call it a hammer. Let's just do... I'm going to be experimenting with this pretty much. There's several ways of doing this, really. There's plenty of ways. So, hammer. Enemy shooting an object. It's pretty easy. But, okay, so... Always, I'm gonna try doing a thing that's not gonna really work. So, one thing that we can do is using the sin and cosine things that we used before. So, one thing that we can do is to like set the angle to something like, I don't know, sin of timer and make it an abs. The funny thing about abs, and abs is pretty much absolute value. That means it's pretty much a value that will always be positive. So let's say sin ends up being negative. Abs is going to turn that into a positive. So if it's -1, abs is going to make that into a positive number. This is very useful for like setting animations and stuff like that. So let's say you want to set your animation speed to the player's x velocity. Sometimes that velocity can go to 0. So you're going to be using abs, so it turns that 0 into positive. So you don't make a negative animation speed, which I don't think is supported by Fusion. So let's see what it does with this. It's because the value of sin is always 0 and 1. So maybe one thing that we can do is time this by 45. That's funny. Now what we can do, let's time this towards the -45. We can add 45 to it. Right, is this not working? Oh, it's because wait, I'm timing the abs by that. Let me do minus 45 instead. So we have something. Let's make this a minus 90 instead. Minus 90. We're pretty much just fiddling angles here. Oh yeah, now we can get something good. So now we can lower the timer a little bit. So if we divide timer by, I don't know, 100, we can get a much slower hammer. Let's not make it 100, let's make it 10. Now we have a little hammer. Adding shadows, chaos control. Unfortunately, I don't think that's very much possible in Fusion. I mean, it is if you program everything with it in mind. Like slowing down time and stuff like that should be best left to some other engine. I mean, technically you will have to use something like a delta time, but I think that's just too advanced for Fusion work. You might as well just use code and move on to something else. So I really don't think you can do things like that. So let's make this like a negative. Let's see what happens. I want to reverse it because it's actually hitting the wall instead of hitting the ground, which is what I wanted. So let's see what we get. Ah, that's better. But now, when we added an angle to it, we're adding 90 degrees. Like, let me show you. So, since sin is pretty much like 0 and 1, we had the hammer moving like this, but since we added 90 to it, it's going to be doing it like this. That's the logic behind it. Except it's not actually doing that. We probably need to subtract 90 because we're actually going here and not here, and here is subtraction and here is adding. So there we go, got a little hammer. I know this is super simple, but it is something. And this is a hammer that just keeps going to a degree. If you want a hammer that only works occasionally, what you might want to do is that you might, instead of using timer, using like its own variable. So let's say, let's do something like this. Let's variable values, counter. So we're going to always add a value to counter. We can just use a regular object. And now, instead of timer divided by 10, we set it to the object's counter. So we can just set to any object variable value A. Values. Even though this isn't that object, we just drag it in and it just becomes that. Now we have a control over it. This to a degree. Let's make this like 100, because I think counter the timer is always like 60. So yeah, now we get something. But I think there's something that we can do is that we can make a real counter instead of and like have it be like a fake counter. Let's make a fake counter. And here's what it's going to be. Here's what it's going to do. We're going to set variable values, set. In this case, we're going to set fake counter to values to the actual counter. This is what we're going to do. If we had a clamp function, this would be a lot easier, I would say. But now we're going to delete this and we're going to do this. Now, what we're going to do, is that we're gonna, I don't know what this, some guy saying something in the chat, actually I don't know what he's saying. We're gonna check if fake counter is lower, or it's greater than 60. What is it going to do is that we're going to variable value set whatever it is, fake counter. The object's way down there, so I just don't even scroll it. We're gonna set it to 60. So basically, we're adding 60 to counter, and the counter just keeps going up. I think it shouldn't be 60. It should be a little bit bigger than that. Let's divide this by 60. There we go, because we're dividing by it, so it's complicated, but it's fine. So we're adding 60 to counter, and then we're setting the fake counter to counter divided by 60. This means it's gonna be just like a lower value. So because counter like always adds 62, I thought he added 1. So it's gonna be like basically I think if fake counter is equal to 1, a second has passed. Let's just go with that. So then when fake counter is greater than 60 or like 1 second, it's gonna set itself back to 60. That means what's gonna happen here is the hammer is gonna stop. Well, it would stop if we set this thing to actual fake counter. Now that we do, it stops. At least it should, but it's not doing it right for some reason. Because we didn't do it to something like this. Because we need to multiply it, I think. Huh, what are we exactly doing wrong now? Oh, because it's set to counter divided by 60, I think. Yeah, so let's just do it like that. And over here, I should do it divided by 6. What the hell am I doing wrong now? I lost my train of logic completely. Alright, let me deactivate this and see if it works. It does. Okay. Now all we need to do is pretty much just set fake counter. We're gonna have to find that thing on our own. Let's just do it as 60 divided by 9 times 90 or something like that. Let's see what value comes up. I'm doing this in Google in the background. It's this. Let's see if it works. Yeah, there we go. We hit the ground like a couple times. So now I said that it did it 3 times. So I'm just gonna divide this value by 3. So it's gonna set the value to this divided by 3, and now we're gonna get something. Yeah, now I just did it once. You can barely see it because of the fade in and fade out. But basically, what we're gonna be doing is that we're gonna be doing this. Now after this event, we're gonna check if counter is greater than, let's just say 60 times, and it's the amount of seconds that we want, so 5 seconds. Now I set counter, the regular counter, to 0. Now let's see what happens. Ooh. I guess this isn't 5 seconds. Huh. Let's make it 50. Yeah, now we get something better. This isn't 5 seconds either. I thought it would be. It might just be like 5 freaking frames. 120 should technically be 120 frames or 2 seconds. Yeah, that seems about right. So yeah, now we got our hammer. For like a sound effect, we might do something more in the lines of, how can I put it? We need to know what this angle is. So one thing that we can do is go in this debugger and add object to debugger. Now, when you have the debugger right over here, we have the hammer. It's right over there. And now we can sort of see, I think you can see its angle somewhere. We can see its width and height changing, but it's not what we want. We just want the angles. So what we need to do, I think, is just set like a variable, any variable, to the angle itself. So we'll just get an object, get angle. So now we're gonna set the variable value C to N, really? Oh, what? Oh, because, God, whatever. Let's type angle, god damn it. Alright, so now, if you go into the variable values, you can see the angle. So we know that C is like 270, so we can use that to play a sound effect. So if C is greater or equal to 270, and then we add a limit condition on the one action event loops, we can play a sample. Stomp line, stomp air. Let's just go with, I think it's the Swabberry. Jesus, it's fucking loud. I'm doing a hammer. Someone wanted me to make a hammer. I'm really not sure what that guy means, but I'm imagining like the hammer from one of the bosses in Sonic Advance. But at the end of the day, really, if you want to make a hammer, a boss with a hammer, you just animate the damn thing. That's really all there is to it. I mean, if you want the ball from the Green Hill boss, we're gonna be making that soon enough. So that shouldn't be a problem. And the principle is somewhat similar to this too, so it should be fine. All right, where was it? So it'll be like landing. No. Amy hammer. Let's go with that. So now it would be something like that. Ooh. Huh. It does the sound when it's not what we want. So we can still look into the debugger. Oh, because we're setting it to greater. Yeah. So now... Huh, it becomes that angle again for some reason. At least I presume. That ain't good. Let's go with like 80. Let's see what happens. Huh. Should just do like an equal then. Nothing fucking happens even though it totally is equal to it. Oh no, not that one though. Why did it type 80? That's such a bad idea. That's how I code, by the way. Just try shit out. There we go. You got our little hammer. And if you want to damage Sonic, you can pretty much like create a little thing in there. I think it's still running. Okay, let me actually do something more just to add some effects to it. So we can create a little puff of smoke around it. And I don't entirely know if it's gonna actually do everything right. Let me try to create one over there and see if it actually... Yeah, no, it creates all the way over there. That's not what we want, so we can just put it like down here or something like that. Yeah, it doesn't have a child and parent system. It doesn't have any of that. So what we're gonna do too is that we're gonna just add some more effect to it and try to always do this if you can. Make the camera shake a little bit, but only like for a very short period of time, so it doesn't disorient the player. Don't make it shake for too long. Let's just set the hard shake value. Let's say 3, so it shake for 3 frames. There we go. Now it shakes like a little bit once it hits the ground. And the smoke is still weird, so you would have to like manually adjust it to get it right. Let's make this like a 6. There we go. You got a hammer. It's a very simple hammer, but it does work. And really, the movement of the hammer itself is only set by like 1 line of code, which is nice. And you can always adjust it too. Like instead of adding 60 to counter, if you add 30 or 40, it would move a lot slower. Like that. Yeah, I think I know I was playing it twice too, Vada. Maybe it was resetting. I don't think it was though. Because one thing that we can do is that we can pause and go frame by frame. I really like this function. There we go. Let's see, 40. No, it never goes above it. You might not be able to see it in here because maybe the resolution is a little bit too low. Although I think I made the resolution good enough. I really like this function if you should just be able to go frame by frame. You have to pause it and then start pressing it. Pause it and then press it. And you can see everything working frame by frame. It's very good. So yeah, we did a hammer. That's gonna be it for now. I'm gonna disable it. And let me, I think, make a timestamp. I'm gonna have to guess this one. This is gonna be the ball enemy. And I think it was like 30 minutes. Like everyone were like 30. Someone could check later for me, I don't know. So I'm gonna start with Sin Animated Hammer. And a principle very similar to this is what we're gonna be using to do the ball, Magman. It might be a rounding issue. The floating points don't seem to be very accurate in Fusion. Looking like float 8. Let's go with that. Only able to hold like, I don't know, 64 positions. Can age show how to make inverted colors in application? I can do that. It's very easy. Let me timestamp that too, just because. This was like 51, 30 inverted colors. Okay, so here's what you do. You go in here in the level. You go, I think there's like a thing over here. Like effect. You go into edit, and then you put it in effect. Like inverted. Click OK. Now you press play, and it should work. There we go. There's your effect. Everything is inverted. It is fairly easy. And I believe you can adjust the blend coefficient so it's like less inverted, I guess. Yeah. So if you adjust the scene's blend coefficient, you can adjust how much inverted it is. So let's see if we can do something with it. So let's set the noise. I think if you go in over here into like effects, there's like some effect set effect parameter. It'll be like the blend. I think, let me actually check the name of the damn effect. Ooh, sound went out. Hello? You guys can probably hear me still. Either Winamp fucking crashed. Oh, and no, it's fine. Sometimes my audio interface just fucking stops for some reason, and I believe it's because there's an electricity issue where it's just kind of... It just kind of like turns off and turns on really quickly, so it does like a software error or something like that. So yeah, let's go back in here of the effects. I think the effect's called the blend coefficient, but I'm not really sure. There's no way to edit it. Edit the damn thing. So we really can't tell what the blend coefficient really is. So let's just type blend coefficient and let's see what we get. Or maybe there's a different thing to it. Because usually there's like a name, so you need to type the name. Oh yeah, it's the alpha bending coefficient, okay. So we're gonna set this to sin of timer. And it might have I probably should do an epilepsy warning over here. And then I'm gonna time this to 255. It's gonna look bad. There we go. I guess it's not blending and like making it go back to normal. Maybe one thing that we can do. Yeah, maybe it's not possible actually. Pretty weird that it just goes to black. But there, you know, there's certain things I've developed for Spark that are fairly interesting that we can use to do things with. So monochrome, there's monochrome. It's interesting. It just makes everything black and white. But there is other effects that I've developed for Spark, which is called color change, which they just swapped the RGB channels, and essentially it does like a little palette swap. In this case, this is a very bad one, but there are more things that we can do. So let's go over here. Let's do this one. Oh, there's the color coefficient. It's like bad. Yeah, now we got a red Sonic. Really, what we really did is that we just swapped some channels around. That's all that we did. I changed main volume to 10 because holy shit, those rings are loud. But yeah, changing the colors around, and this happens. We got Vaporwave. The bootleg version of Vaporwave. It's Varpal Wave. And it's still got the hammer drop. This is a new OC. There's more to it. Let's try some other effects. Let's try this one. Color change 8. Sonic is black. Wow. I use those effects in Spark when doing the what is it? There's like certain things that happen in Fark story that kind of change the like the environment, because there's like it's like a virus or something like that. I don't know what those are. They're more like a gameplay mechanic than a plot thing. Like in this case, you got a fucking white Supersonic, and you can add those effects to just one character. You can absolutely do that. If you go here in Sonic himself, or let's go in Classic Sonic EX. We can go over here and set the effect to like anything. Now we got we got that. They're just called like black mono, or you can do the color change ones until you get something that you like Piccolo Sonic, Green Sonic. I don't know. It's still Green Sonic. You gotta keep changing. You got Red Sonic. And this only changes that. Yeah, they got like Purple Sonic. You got that. Piccolo deck. Another Green Sonic. Plenty of Green Sonics. Ah, there's so many of those. It's like the Smash Brothers recolors. Yeah, and then you got like Red Sonic. And I think if you change to him, you stay like that. That's it. I think I posted those effects in Hedgeland. So you can pretty much go and find the effects.zip, and it's probably not all of them. I should probably just include all of them. There are also like flash effects to make the character flash. I use this to make the archer jester and other things flash. So if you want to use them, you need to do something. And you're gonna be using this in a boss fight. But yeah, essentially you can just make like Sonic glow. Let's say you get like a power up, and it makes Sonic glow in the process. I think we had like an automatic spin dash, didn't we? Did I not add this to this? Oh, it's this one. Yeah. You can just have it glow. And you can't control Z though, which is weird. You can make it transparent too if you want to, but you shouldn't do that. So none. There we go. I think that's it for the effects. So now on to the next thing. What was it exactly? This isn't a palette editor at all. It's just swapping the RGB channels. Because every image consists of 3 images really, or 4 in case of the alpha channel. But it includes the red channel, the green channel, and the blue channel. So that's how. And you combine those 3, and then you make a colored image. How to make Spark Attack. I don't think you're going to be doing that right now. This was the little extra before you go into making the boss. So, I think people want to make a boss fight. And this is something that people wanted to. And you're going to be doing that right now. So, boss fights can be reasonably complicated, but we're going to be doing the boss fight around this area over here. Just delete everything. So, I'm going to just copy this. And you have everything. I'm going to be doing this boss fight in the way that I usually do them. It's not exactly the best way, but it is a way that works. So I'm going to try my best to be doing the Eggman from Green Hill Zone. Maybe just add the moving platforms too. I think I deleted them. Should find them somewhere. Shit. Fuck. Everybody knows shit's fucked. Yeah, that's bad. In the meantime, maybe I'll show how to make platforms. Maybe I shouldn't. Let me just do a timestamp on the boss then. So this is an hour. Double O 20. Boss bitch. So let's fuck the platforms. We're gonna do this shit straight away. So here's what you're gonna do. Let's start by creating Eggman himself. So, and by making Eggman himself, I mean that I'm going to just make a circle and add Eggman's face into it. Let's make this like ship round. Like a ship round. Let's draw the Eggman's face. So you got the mustache. I'm doing this with the mouse. Let's go. Fill it in like paint. And then make the nose. That's the nose. And then there's the glasses. And then there's like Ego. Fuck. There's our Ego Fucko. Now we just need a thing to show the direction. This is this direction. And then if you copy this here, we're gonna flip it. This is our Eggman, guys. And now to make him float, I'm gonna do this. Just move the hotspot. Now I make a loop. And there's Eggman just floating around. The best sprite. No, I wanted to copy the whole thing. Oh, I forgot the hotspot. I think I fucked it up. Like real badly. Completely like deleted it. There we go. Copy and then paste. Alright, so now it moves up and down. No. Okay, this is really gonna be it for a boss. And I don't think we should add like an animation of Eggman. We should add an animation of Eggman being hurt. Let's just put that one in walking. And let's just make his face like sad. We're not gonna add Eggman shining though. That's not something we're gonna do. Because we're gonna be doing that in code using one of those effects that I've shown. So in this case, you're gonna just do the created start thing. You're not gonna allow it to be created at the start. Call this egg. Call it Eggman. It's Eggman. It's little Eggman. I think I need to go to the bathroom soon, so let's just finish this thing. Let's just make another one. Let me clone that one, whatever. Let's do the ball now. And then I think we should do like the intersections of the ball later. But we're gonna be doing those. Just gonna like color or something. More shit brown. Well, that's a, you know, people say you can't polish a turd. Oh, I disagree. It's not gonna look good. Please don't polish a turd. Never do that. There's our ball. Our shit ball. So, for now, give me some time as I need to take a leak. And I'll be back in probably less than a minute. BRB. Oh, hold on. I'm back. Okay, it didn't took long. Okay, I'm back. Is everyone back? Because you've got no time to take a piss. I piss fast. The bathroom's like really close, so it's fine. All right, so let's get back into the game of things. So before we actually make the boss fight, what we're gonna do is that we're gonna set the camera of the boss fight. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna create an active. I'm gonna set this to camera, the boss cam. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put this below here. We're gonna make the size of this active 427 and leave it as 32. And make it 427 for worlds and 320, I believe, for delta. That's how it is. Making it like by a 4 by 2, 4 by 3, whatever resolution. So let's Jesus fuck make this. Now we can add a camera. We've added a camera. There. Let's not make this visible. And you gotta make the hotspot over there. It has to be over there. Okay. So here's what we're gonna do. You place the camera where you want the bottom, the camera, the boss cam object where you want the bottom of everything to be. So the camera, the minimum would be over here. So now, let's go and create things related to it. So let's make it a green hill boss. Might as well make this build public now that I think about it. Probably do that. But yeah, in Green Hill Boss, we're gonna add a group called Camera Setup. And then we're going to do a boss. Like the actual boss is gonna be in there. Now we're gonna deactivate this. In camera setup, we're gonna check if players position, X position of player is gonna be greater than our camera trigger. Or position X coordinate. So if our player has passed our boss trigger, is greater. Just go with greater. We are going to set the camera where it is. So now, I think we can pretty much group of events, activate the boss. So now, inside of the boss, we can do an always, and now we're gonna set camera properties. So we're gonna be setting the C. I think the C is all the way up there. So hard to find. There's so many objects. There's an alternative to this though, if you want to use like something like this, and then look for the. Unfortunately, you can't just click the a letter and you go to it. So that's why I prefer just using this one. The value set. We're gonna set maybe the camera minimum, like maximum to the thing. So we're gonna set the camera minimum to its minimum X, its minimum on the horizontal axis, to the camera trigger, its position X coordinate. Now you're gonna set the maximum X, which is this one, to X boss cam plus, and then we're gonna get, I think it's something, the width of it. That's why you set the width for 427, because it's the width of our screen. One of the reasons why I can't really convert ATS to work on widescreen, because we'll have to update every boss, because the boss is meant to work with a smaller screen. So now I need to set everything else with the Y axis. So camera minimum Y is going to be set to Y of boss cam. Now camera minimum Y or maximum Y. Oh no, wait, so I did a mistake. So this is minus 240 because this is the minimum. It's from top to bottom and not from bottom to top. I keep forgetting that. And then I said the minimum Y to over there, and 240 is the horizontal width. So this, we should get something out of it. The camera and delta might be a bit different, but still. Yeah, it's a bit fucked. Because I think we set it to minus. I should set it to plus. No? It seemed right to me. Oh, it's because I said minimum and minimum. Not minimum and maximum. Flying supersonic. You guys are asking a lot. Hold on. Yeah, now the camera is set into place. Unfortunately, Sonic can go off screen in this situation, which you really shouldn't. Oh, but there's like a pixel that it moves left and right. So maybe one thing that we can do is instead of plus a whiff, we should do plus a whiff minus 1. Just cause. So, right. So one thing that we need to do is that we need to stop the player from going above the screen. So one thing that we can do is that we can set. We need to make that a wall basically. So I think there's a way of doing it. And it should be somewhere in here. I think if you go into player, I think it would be player movement. There's pretty much like an event somewhere. Let me zoom out a little bit. That prevents the player from going off the screen. I don't think it's in the sensors thing. Movement routines. Man, I need to look into this. It's somewhere, I'm sure. It should be X movement and Y collisions, I think. Or not. Oh. Thought it would be in here. And we can just make that into our own. So basically, here back in Green Hill Boss, let me zoom in again. Here at Boss, you can make a if alterable values compared to alterable value, alterable value. Freaking boss fight. I mean that one from Spark? No, that was complicated. By the way, you use the system from the ball, so that's one way of trying to do that. That guy's a 3D model, by the way. It's pre-rendered, but yeah. So if float X is greater than camera maximum X, I think you can just set it to a value. Let's put this in here. Oh no, that's not what I meant to do. Let's see. Oh, I almost did it. Is it not? It's not typed like that. It's maximum. We're just gonna set values. Set float X to the camera minimum -1, I think. I keep trying to find the C. It's camera maximum X -1. Not only that, but we need to set the X speed to 0. Now I believe that if we actually get into the boss, it's actually not going to go further. It seems a little bit finicky for some reason. Don't know why exactly, but it is a bit finicky over here too, it seems. Yeah. It does seem to work. So I guess it's fine. I can always like change to like it's -24, like 16. Player size is like 32. Divided by 2, it's 16. This is 15. Let's see. It's a bit better, I guess. Doesn't work all that well exactly, but it works. It's probably a little bit more inner workings to it. Hey, folks, you guys paying attention? You guys paying attention to the class? This is gonna be on the test. So, okay, so now we have everything set up with the camera. It's really all those lines. It really is just that. So now we can get into making the actual boss fight. So now let's add a group of events. Boss sets up. Typed it all wrong. Boss setup instead of just camera setup. And what we're gonna do over here is that we're gonna create the just 3 more minutes. So now we're gonna do a should probably do something more like only one actual event loops. This would do it. Now we're gonna create an object. We're gonna create our Eggman right over here. We need to create it relative to this so we can pretty much move this object anywhere and we'll have our boss fight. That's one way of doing it anyways. So now we have that in there. And we also need to create the ball. Does this create it? It can be anywhere really. Oh fuck. That's fine. Control Z and do that. Now let's set the position of the ball. It's the ball control. So it's been a while since I did this, but we're going to be doing something similar to the hammer, except it's going to be about position instead of anything else. So need to remember. Alright, we're going to be using abs. I think you can't use it. Oh no, abs was not gonna work. Let me think. Let me just try something out. So let's go with that. So always position, set X coordinate. I'm just thinking. Don't worry about me. It's gonna be position the boss, position. It's X coordinate plus, and we're gonna do one of those sin thingies. So like sin timer divided by 10. And we're gonna do like times whatever distance that we want. So let's say when the ball 200 pixels far away. So for now, let's just do the X just so we know what's going on. So now we have a ball moving back and forth. It's definitely something. But now let's make this like more like the original balls, like 15. This the timer divided by something pretty much controls the speed and this controls the distance. That's pretty much it. I'm sorry, man. I'm not gonna speak Portuguese. This one guy over here really wants me to speak Portuguese. He is that much of a patriot. Vara will do it instead. He would act as my translator. Don't do that. I'm just joking. So now I just forgot how to do this specific thing. I don't think it's gonna be abs. Let's add some abs to it. Shouldn't be this for the Y distance. So no, let's keep it the same just so it's like a circle. I kind of forgot about it. So as anyone does, we just try shit out. And the ball is like fucking gone because we're setting it to the X position instead of the Y. Because we are fuck ups. And they fuck up occasionally. I don't fuck around. I only fuck up and I'm really sorry. Now we have that. This isn't exactly what we wanted to do, but it is indeed something. Right, so what we need instead is to set it, instead of sin, we set it to cos. To cosine instead of sine. Now we got this. Isn't exactly what we want though. Wait. This is not exactly what we want, no. For a second there I thought it was. So the detail is like 10 tangent. I never used 10 in my entire life. Is it 10? Someone tell me it's 10. I'm getting desperate. What? I love it. What happens if I do like a negative? It's probably gonna go up, right? Like any good guy would just try shit out. Wow, I never seen this before. Maybe let's not use an abs. Vara, please tell me what to do. You probably know how to do this. Oh, wow. Oh, it's like an hourglass. I get it. Yeah, I think I get 10. Right. Because, okay, so if we don't use abs, here's what happens. I mean, just check the ball. I wanted to just go back and forth like a sine wave, but, you know, like using, like, instead of it going all around, just not going all around. Maybe I should just divide this by 2 or something like that. I think I know what to do. Yeah, it's +1. And then I divide it by 2, I think. Complicated. Are you my friend, like? No. Wow. I wasn't expecting that. Do we need the abs? We might need the abs. No. The same shit happened. I really wasn't expecting this, I'm gonna have to say. Oh, wow. There's another way, other ways of doing this, really. This isn't the only way. But I did something, that's for sure. What do I do now? I'll figure something out, don't worry about it. What happens now? I've actually never done the Green Hill boss before. That's why I'm a bit confused. Because if I would do the Green Hill boss, I would do it very differently. So I think I'm just gonna be using, instead of all this shit, instead of all of this, we're just gonna be doing it in this regular way that we're doing before, where it wasn't smooth, but it did work like this. So yeah, I was just gonna leave it like this pretty much. It's just Eggman. At the end of the day, this does work though. So let's change the distance from 130 to 130. Now we can make Eggman move around. And the way of doing that is to use a counter just like before. So we'll do like a counter. And now it does let's just make an HP variable. And one thing that we can do, oh god, is that we can set the HP variable over here. I want to make it all caps. So let's say it's 6. Let's just go with that, really. It reminds me of Brass Sonic. Woof. Yep. I missed the ping, Mara. Okay, so let's do the Eggman moving around. All we need to do over here is that we need to variable values, add 1 to counter. Now we pretty much just check. We're going to be using the easing object for this one, but we're just going to check if counter is equal to, let's say 60. Now we're going to use the easing object, move object, and then we're going to select this. And now we're going to use this, just going to leave it as this. And then we're going to set the X coordinate. We're going to set it to this object's position. Or no, instead I should set to this one position, the X coordinate of the boss camera plus 30. So it's going to be plus 20. Okay, I did a mistake over there. Let me just go back into it. Set it to event loops, and it's going to go over the course of 60 frames, which is a second. So that position would be around the start of here, but like 20 over. So it's going to go over here or something like that. Huh, Red Dead Fall. Interesting. I don't know how it actually works in the original game. So now what we're gonna do is that. Oh, what was it again? Okay, I'm getting a bit tired. Let's find out. Now we're gonna be using something more like this. We're gonna be setting it to like, I don't know, 400. And now we're gonna be moving it to this, but to like 400 away, not 400. 360. Let's go with that. It's a very simple ass boss pattern. Very simple. Now if counter is greater than, let's say, 500, we set the counter to 0, and it's already over there. So now one thing that we need to do is, instead of having all of those things about the position over here, they need to come after. Because we're changing the position of this object, and then we're setting the ball to the position that has been already altered by the easing object and everything. So technically this should work. Ooh. Oh, because I set the Y position to 0. Completely forgot about that. Because this enter Y coordinate and it says 0. We can't really have that, so we're just going to set it to Y coordinate. And we're setting the Y coordinate to the player because then we're just going to move this to Eggman by just dragging it around. There we go. You have to set it to itself. So now, there's our Eggman. Your shitty looking Eggman. There it is. Ain't it a beauty? Oh wow, for some reason the hard shake option fucks everything up. Seems like a Delta thing. I don't know why it does that. I guess we can just change the hard shake to like soft shake instead, or the regular shake, and it should work. But probably will work anyways. Let's move Eggman down a little bit just so we can hit him, because you really can have that. But since he's set up via code, we're gonna go via code, via this. We're gonna set it for like over here, and now we're gonna change the distance to this thing again. And now, let's do the in-betweens, and then we're gonna finish off the boss. So, let's just clone the egg ball and make it smaller. Proportional, let's say it's 6, it's, I don't know, 8 by 8. Go 8. Oh, completely deleted the image. That's fine. I guess this is too small. Make it 16 then. Amazing. It looks great. Ballin'. And one thing that we can do is that we can, or at least I think we have to make this several different balls. Let's clone them. Let's see if the hotspot's right. It's not. Let's put it in there. Always check the hotspot. The rule of thumb. Let's just keep cloning it. I think this should be enough. Right, so now for us to be able to differentiate the balls, we can go into the icon thing and add a color to it. In this case, I'm going to be making it this blue. Oh, I already made a mistake. Let's just go over here, blue. And then over here, I move one step towards this direction. That's a weird color picker. Probably used to something like, I don't know, applications like a limited palette, because Fusion is just a very old software. But now, once we do this, we're gonna have a very nice gradient when we actually get in game. Let's see what this does. Then in game in code. So now we need to do something very much like this for them. There's already a swinging platform. Yeah, I could. You're right. I could just look into that code, but I'm not going to be doing that right now. You can look at that into yourself after you figure those things out. Kind of want to just figure it out on my own for now. So now we're just going to destroy all of them And by destroy, I mean we're gonna just add pretty much a reference to all of them over here. Wait, what? They have very two similar colors, huh? Now you can see there's like a little gradient. A nice gradient. Man, I've been drinking too much fucking water. And soda, because I'm just feeling really thirsty recently. But because of that, I really need to pee a lot. But I'm gonna go to the bathroom soon, but for now, I think you can hold it in until I do this. This isn't perfect, the gradient just isn't all that right. But it is a good idea. So now, you're gonna be setting the position of them. So now this object is gonna be set to this and this, but we need to change the distance pretty much. Since the size of every object is 16, we can do it like this. So this is 16. This is ball in 1, and then it's the second one, and this is gonna be like 32. Right, so before you do anything, you should probably check if it's actually working. So we're gonna do that. Now let's check if it's actually working, if you can get something out of it. Another way that we could do is just like divide it. Oh, it's not working because we forgot to create those objects. So at the beginning we need to create them. They really can be created anywhere, I think. This isn't a polished boss fight by any means. Technically you're supposed to polish it out yourself later and do whatever you want. This is an example of how to do things. I clicked replace, but it's fine. Make sure to create on that object, even if it's in like position 0, because the point is that it's going to be creating that object at the same layer as this one. So it's not gonna be created in a different layer. You're gonna be like, where the fuck is my object? Because you just created in a different layer. You know, if you place it anywhere, you have to select the layer over here. But if you just create it relative to another object, you don't have to do that. So now, I think this should be all of them. It's 5 and 6. All right, let's go. Still not working, huh? I know exactly what we did wrong. What it might have been is that they are behind the ball. So let's figure something out in here. So let's set this instead to 50. Let's see what happens. The ball might be 64 by 64 inside or something like that. Still not showing up, huh? I wonder why exactly. Oh, because I'm an idiot and I left that shit in here. So, there we go. They're all the way over there though, it's still not working. Oh, because they're set to themselves. Just gotta think about those things. Now they work. But, you know, they're still not in like the exact right position. Because of that, something that we might do is that we can just increase this. So let's just do a go on Google and do like 16 times something. So let's 3. What value do we get? We get 48. So let's do 48 for this one. Now we do 16 times 4. I'm gonna get whatever value that it is. It's 64. Now we do this to every single one until we get close to 100. So now 64 times 5 is 80. Don't bother calculating those on your own, just use a calculator. In this case I'm using Google. 16 times 6 is like 96, so that's pretty much over. I think it should be over like in here really. I don't think we need anything else. Funny, it's just like 3, and it did it. This is 80. Instead of typing 80, I fucking copy and paste it because I'm a lazy ass. There are better ways of doing this, actually. This would do. Yeah, I think that my problem was that I didn't, you know, I could have set it a little bit closer. This is pretty much it. I think you guys got the gist of it. So yeah, we got a little moving ball Eggman boss fight. I'm not gonna make it hurt the player. Really don't. It's very simple to make it do that. But I'm going to be making you hit the enemy, because it should do that. So here's what we're gonna do. We're going to go and make a new group called Boss Interaction. Boss int. Let's just call it int. Now what we're gonna do, the original, let's just do it customly. Or not. I think you can just like pick up, go into that monkey enemy, interaction, and then it got all this sort of stuff. So let's just get all of it. We're gonna paste it in here. Now we're gonna be using something else. In here, I'm gonna be doing a nil variable value. Let's do it a flash counter. This is gonna be interesting, at least to a degree. So now I'm just gonna add a comment in here, and then we're gonna change this to those pretty soon. Oh, it became black. All right. So let's do a new line. Let's do an always. And we're going to set variable value, set the flash value. And let's subtract instead. I think it'd be better. Variable values, subtract 1 from flash. When the ball's on the corner, yeah, it's on the corner because we didn't set its position, so they're just created there and they just stay there. That's why they're over there. So we also need another value. We need a flash. Let's just call it flash 2. It's just called flash 2, really. So now we check if variable values, if they count or what. Oh, Jesus. If flash 2 is greater than 0, and if it's not, we're gonna just set. Oh, I think, what did it do exactly? Yeah, okay, so do this later. But if regular flash, I fucked up. I lost my logic a little bit over there. If regular flash is greater than 0, we're going to add 1 to flash 2. Right, this is how we did it. But if flash is lower or equal to 0, we just pretty much set flash 2 to 0. Right, and now what we're gonna do, let me add a new comment so we can separate this. We're going to, why are they black for some reason? It just became that. Oh, let's keep it black. Okay, so if flash 2 is greater than, let's make it greater or equal to 1. I think you should be doing it like that, yeah. If it's greater or equal to 1, we're going to set effect to, I think this one will do. There's better ones. I think there's one that actually makes them flash more like the classic games. Forgot which one it was. Then shader white. I think this one does like white, right? But then also we set effect when flash is greater than 0. We set it to none, so it doesn't do any of that. But now it's not just this. You also need to make if flash is greater than, let's say, 3. Let's go with something a little bit more softer, like 4. Also set effect to none. But we also need to add this, lower or equal to 4. And now, this could probably be more efficient, but it's just, this is gonna work for now. If it's greater, let's just say greater than 8, we set flash 2 to 0. So let's just set the value. I think you can. So basically what we're doing here is they're making a little counter that if flash is greater than 1 and it's going to be counting down every frame, but if it's greater than 1, then we're going to have the character flash, and then when it's back, the character just goes back to normal. Flash 2 is equal to 0. Let's delete this. Instead of sound destroy, we need something like the hit boss sound effect. I don't know where it is. Eesh. Very loud, like always. We need to be careful with this thing too, because it does fuck up a lot. Don't click the play button too much, or else you might just crash. Eggman Land Night. Let me save this first then. Sound boss shit? Is this what it's called? Really? Oh, but yeah, boss hit. There we go. I know what you think it means. Now, any of this shit, just fuck it. Destroy it. Fuck with all of it. Fuck off. Now instead, what we're gonna do is that, yeah, I think we can have this, but let's make this inactive for now. Right, so now what we're gonna do is that we're also gonna check if, man, the insta should add some complication to this. If X speed is greater or equal to 0. And now what we're gonna do is that we're gonna set alterable value, set X speed to, let's say, -6. Let's go with like -4. Just so we bounce off the boss, at least to a degree. Alright, so let's say X speed is... Sadly, I might not be able to add one actual event loop to that. So we can do something else instead. And this would be the reverse, so it's lower. Not lower or equal, just lower. Or else if your speed is actually 0, you might be able to hit the boss twice. Oops, mistake. Lower. And now, let's use Flash 2 for this one. Just so we can't actually trigger both of those events at once. Or trigger them again. So, and we're gonna use the regular Flash. So Flash is lower or equal to, let's say, 10. Because it's always going down, so they might as well do this. Let's put this in here. So there we go. And also, in this specific event, we need to alterable values, subtract 1 from HP. So put this in both, and also the sound. I think I deleted it for some reason. Not only that, but we also need to set flash. The value sets flash to, let's say, for how long should it flash? Let's say 40 frames or so. So let's say flash to 40. Now I think this should be working. Except if the boss is not gonna die yet. We need to make it die, and we need to create a die sequence for that. We're gonna be doing that real soon. Now there's a boss. I think we can hit it. Oh no, we can't, because I made a mistake of this. Now we can hit it. The flash is very slow though, so we should increase it. We can hit tool twice occasionally if you can. Might as well change the Y speed too, just in case. But maybe not, let's just keep it as is for now. So let's make it flash faster. Instead of adding 1 to flash 2, let's add 3. Now it flashes actually quite fast. You might not even be able to see it on YouTube. Basically, it just bounces based on the speed. It just kind of bounces off. If you're able to grab it in a corner, it's going to do something. One way too, you might want to check it based on the sensor that collided with, instead of doing it like that. This is gonna be it for now, really. Technically, this is something you have to do too, but that's gonna be it for now. So now, you're gonna do a boss die sequence. Boss die. You're gonna be deactivating it. Right, but before you do the boss die sequence, I need to go take a fucking leak again. And someone asks, how does it get invincible while it flashes? It doesn't really get all invincible while it flashes, but essentially it's this event. So it's because you're setting flash to 40, it's gonna take 30 frames until we can hit the boss again. That's really it. Doesn't really get invincible. It just, I mean, it kinda does, but yeah. So I'll be BRB in a second. Hello, I'm back. I'm always fast. I mean, not always, but... Fucking piece of shit, god damn it. Okay, I'm back. I'm gonna be doing the boss and probably like some other short thing and then call it a day. Been promising this for a while though, so... And there's so many things to go over now. Yeah, if you lost something, you can just come back later, it's fine. But yeah, I'm back. So let's get back into it. Now we need to make the boss die sequence, and in the boss die sequence, we're going to do only one action on event loops. Group of events, deactivate, and we're going to deactivate boss int. And no, we shouldn't deactivate boss int, should deactivate boss setup. And whatever is in there. Like ball control and shit. Deactivate all that. You could use your boss code, you know. Well, but it defeats the purpose. The purpose is to teach you how to make something from scratch. You know, that's the point of this. So let's make a die counter. And this is gonna be necessary. Now we need to make another counter. It's gonna be the explodey count. So over here now we make an allies, and then a turbo value, add 1 to the counter, and add 1 to explode count. Also, there's another thing I need to do, and that is make like a moving boss. I haven't covered that one today, but I think not all the people are still watching it, so I'm not gonna be doing that. I'll probably do it some other day, maybe tomorrow, maybe if I'm streaming. I need to get into the mood of streaming because Sage is gonna be out soon, like soon enough, in like a couple months, and I wanna be in top shape for that one. This is gonna be fun. So we're gonna adding this, and I want to explode count. Now we're going to let's just check some alterable values over here. Let's copy this using sine and cosine without making a full circle. I want to make how stuff is I want to move stuff in sine and cosine to make a full circle. Use abs. It works for certain things. It's absolute value, so it makes the value always positive. The sine and cosine is a value that goes from 1 to 0 to -1, and then back to 0 and then to 1 again. In a wave fashion. It's like a little wave. So now we're gonna do exploded count greater than 5. Now we're gonna create an explosion. Let me just do this fast because I think you guys probably already know most of this. So we're gonna create this explosion in here. Now we search position, x coordinate, position itself, plus our random, minus 10, 10. Let's speed this shit. Let's just do x, whatever, it's fine. And now we play sample, explosion. The sample lose rings, it's fine. Now we reset exploded count. Place of server value set. Jesus fuck. Sets exploded count 0. Let's make this, instead of 5, let's make this like 7. So now it's very simple. We just compare die counter greater than, let's say, 70. We deactivate everything. We're gonna go in group of events, deactivate green hill boss, and now we need to reset the camera normally. So basically, I think there's a place where you can do that. There's somewhere in the code. You can use the old boss code too, but I believe it's in Mechasonic, but I think we removed Mechasonic. So it's like, oh, it's the camera code. What am I doing? Yeah, there's this. This is what we need. Puzzle frames, puzzle groups, us die, like fox die. I'm so funny. Now it's gonna be dead. So now we can do several things with this. We can just make the boss like, you know, fly away or something like that. But no, just destroy everything. Now we need to destroy all of the balls. The one thing that we can do for that is use that one thing I kept. Yay! Good song. Beautiful Life from Danganronpa V3. And it should work. Except there's another thing that we need to do. That if HP lower or equal, and I always keep it lower or equal, never do a if HP is equal to 0, because sometimes you might just skip a value, you might hit it twice by mistake because of some bad coding, and then it's just gonna fuck everything up. So now we're going to group of events, activate, boss die. That should work. Let's try it out. If you wanna make like the boss show up in a better way, maybe do a little effect before he shows up. Yeah, that's an ear rape, but it worked. And now you're free to move around and do everything again. Except the camera is like stuck. Maybe you would want that. I don't know why it did do that exactly. I mean, it's not set to do that, right? It really isn't. Actually, I don't get why I did that. Jesus. It should be fine. It should be something that if you like, you want to set always, you can do an always somewhere and maybe set this like this for a while so it doesn't glitch out like that. Maybe that's something you want specifically. So you know. Let me save. And now I just want to do one final thing before we go. Yeah, the boss took an hour, by the way. Took an hour to make. It's actually quite a lot of stuff that we had to go through. Oh. How to make end of stages like Sonic 3. Maybe you can try doing that. Shouldn't be too hard. Let me deactivate the boss then. Let's try it then. think what we do is they go into over here, object management, player control, no control, actions. I think it's like other actions. No, it's probably common actions. Wait, is that not in actions? Oh, in Spark I put it in actions, that's why I'm thinking it's that, but it's not. Right, so it's not in player control. It might not even be in player. I think it's in common objects. Common objects. Stage clear. Right. So we need to look for what moves the player to the next stage or something like that. So activating. Let me make a timestamp for this. Okay, let's go. So now we need to figure out what actually does everything. Core count. I don't think it is core count. Might just be though. Yeah, now it sets the camera. Now it does something. Well, this is pretty weird. Yeah, and there's a activate group score count enough level. Oh, okay. There's like a whole bunch of things. So maybe what we do is instead, let's copy this one, let's deactivate this one, and have it do the start, but instead of setting stage clear, we just set it back to what it was before. So maybe, let's grab what we did before with the boss and boss die, copy this event over here, and instead let's do this. This might be a little bit glitchy because there's probably a lot of things around those systems that I don't know much about, that you need to figure it out. So there's this one too. Might as well not have it in there. But let's see what happens. But you can still keep going for some reason. No, nothing's happening, huh? This is normal? Did we actually... Is it because we changed anything that it does that? Did it specifically change anything? Like at all? Huh. Oh, this is where it starts. I'm doing things wrong. Okay. Okay, but I still think there's something that we can do about it. And copy the new one down there. Instead of this, I'm just gonna do it start instead. I know, yeah, no. Yeah, it has to set the stage clear. That has to happen. Okay, I thought this would be where it ends the stage by setting the score end of level, but it's not. End of counting, I think. So yeah, next level. This is where you would be. I got it. At least I think I did. Instead of start, it should be all those things, I think. Yeah, it's that shit too. So, let me copy this, deactivate this one just so we don't lose it. Copy all of those. And I think this should work. Ah, but it's still making Sonic move to the left. A lot. Oh, but he's stuck in there, I think. Oh, it faded out. Whoops. So I think you go back in here. This deactivate. Will it still override input? Not overriding right now. Let's see. Alright. Nope, but it didn't unlock the camera. That is for sure. Maybe there's something that is done, setting the camera mode and something like that. Oh, like you want the falling goal tool? Dude, that's a lot, dude. Like, because the falling goal happens after a boss fight, so I would have to do all of that. That is a little bit too much for now. I'll be here for another hour if you would be able to do that. It's actually not very hard at all. But still. I've done that once before, but it was a lot of work, so that's why I'm not gonna do it right now. But for some reason, it's still just not going to the next scene. Not the next scene, but like stopping. Maybe they set the camera mode. Camera mode. I set it to 0, like force it. And I probably would need to destroy all of those too. That's something you might want to do. It's funny that it does all this clear input thing, but nothing actually happened. Oh, because the trigger is set to 1. I got it. So whatever this is. Trigger 0. I guess that's why it's happening. Oh, let's also destroy this signpost just in case. Oh, I don't think that matters if we're gonna just do that. It is fairly easy, it just requires a lot of experimentation because you're not doing anything like related to like coding principles here. You're just fiddling with the systems that are already in place in Sonic Worlds. That's all you're doing, really. Yeah. Oh, the camera unlocked itself, but the score is still on the screen, so you're gonna have to delete that. I'm not really sure if another goal is actually gonna spawn in, so you're gonna have to find a way to do that. But this pretty much does it. You're just gonna have to destroy the scores and whatnot. Well, I can make it invisible, but I guess it would be like the set trigger, because the trigger will be 0, so I'll be able to actually collide with it again. And like complete the level a second time. Yeah, cause yeah, now it's still forcing the camera there, no matter what I do. Yeah, 40,000 objects is definitely a lot, but the thing is, anything that is an object, like for example, this is a backdrop. It doesn't have an animation frames at the bottom, so it's a backdrop. It does not count towards the object count at all. So let me play the game. So there is 282 objects, right? Or 270. Shit, I deleted the debugger. So there's like, let me see. 270 objects, right? Now let's copy the backdrops. Like several of them. We're making like hundreds, right? If you click on play, to 280. Backdrops do not count towards the object limit. It's only actives. So unless you're making your stage out of actives, which you shouldn't, then you would exceed that amount of objects. Yeah, that is a very useful thing. And man, I really need to make those tutorials more about the smaller things than the big ass things. Really is for gimmicks. Yeah, well, I mean, it depends. For gimmicks use that many objects, damn. But the best way of doing it really is just to go. Just like make a new scene, just make the character go. And I might as well just use this one in order to make that the scrolling boss. In fact, we could do it right now. We could do it right now. Might as well, you know. So let me do a timestamp. Let's do the scrolling boss. 5. 55. The scrolling boss is fairly easy. It's not very hard. people still ask me about it, but it's like, remember the conveyor belt? That's it. That's it. The only other thing is that it uses the parallax. And it uses the parallax to make things look like they're in motion. So let's get straight into it. Let's go into my old boss code. Let me see if I have anything active. Let me deactivate everything. Now, I think there's like the boss one. Let's put it in here. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna go over here. So we're gonna go in. It'll be like, there's like landing actions too, which is something that we need to do. So that's why you would actually use a conveyor. But you know what? Let's not do the full thing in here because it's actually it is kind of a bit more than that. It's a little bit more complicated than that. But really, this is the gist of it. Really, ground is equal to 1. We change the player's float. So it's variable values set float x to value float x plus like 1. That's set to like plus 5, 6, which would be like the player's x speed or something like that. There's a lot more to this because there's the problem of what is it again? It's the problem of it doesn't work for monitors because it didn't set it up to. It doesn't work. Like for example, when you land on the ground, you're gonna see it. Oh, it's setting to move to the other direction. You want to go through this one. Right now it's pushing me back. But the problem is when I land, it doesn't carry my speed, and generally you want when you jump like over here, instead of actually Sonic just stopping, you should like go back. There's a lot more to it when it comes to that. But generally this is the principle behind the thing. But yeah. I'm just gonna change this to boss principles showcase. Yeah, using the conveyor belt object is the right way. It really is. There's like some interesting things related to it, and it's very funny because there's another thing. If you go in here in player control, control actions. I think like common actions and jump, you'll find certain landing conditions, and in one of those you're gonna see something that is interesting. Maybe it's just not here. I wonder. Maybe there is. I think it would be in common. Maybe they removed it. Maybe that's why conveyor belts are really weird. I think they did. That was like a Sonic World 0.5 thing, where it would actually check if you were jumping from a conveyor belt. And yeah, there's the qualifier too. And if it's jumping from the conveyor belt, then it would add its own speed into it. Or, you know, so it wouldn't be like that. It might be a way of doing it though. If you go something like variable values compare if A is pressed and ground is equal to 1, set x speed to x speed to like -6. Let's see if that works in any way. Oh, it's 0. What a fag. Fucked up. Man, Sonic is very slow. Let's say. No, it really doesn't work. At least not so far. Maybe it's because it's not like way up there. It's right down here. So it really wouldn't work. Let's try this shit out. It's gonna be really fucking weird. Huh. Really, it really isn't working. Oh, it's because it's input is set like up there. So we do this after, before object management, but after the general methods, which has the inputs, input management. Let's see what happens. Yeah, now if we jump, we get carried back. So maybe just do a variable that checks if you're in the boss. Let me just fly over there with Tails. Maybe it could be that one, but this works too in any case. Oh, it also works for spin dashing, huh? Let me see. That's some like odd behavior, but it does work. It does work indeed, but it doesn't work for the landing. It doesn't really work for it very well. Let me deactivate this and try that out. So let's go into Green Hill Boss, camera setup. No, it's not this one. Of objects, bosses, boss one. So I think it's like the jumping variable, maybe. Be like here, I think. Let's check over there then. Player control, actions, common actions, action 0. So when you jump variable, huh? If jump variable is equal to 1, I hope it's not reset. So let's try this one out. Now then we can just check the landing value. Nah, it really doesn't. Maybe it's because it's ground. Let's try it like that. Probably not gonna work. I miss classic Sonic X. You can just fucking dash through everything. No, it really doesn't. I mean, it does actually. It actually does work. All we need to do is this. Now, I think this is gonna work. So now we need to do the... Probably if ground is equal to 1, we should also do that. But instead, we're not actually going to do this. We're going to add 6. It's gonna be really weird because at the start of the boss fight, it's gonna fuck up. You know, that's for certain. It's gonna look really weird, but we're gonna get something out of it. Man, I hate shield. Yeah, now this is perfect. You see, it's pushing me back still, and I'm actually running in place. But when I jump, my speed is constant, and when I land, it's constant too, but I'm still running forward, you see? Like, I'm still running. No, like, I'm running in place, but then I jump, and I'm still constant. That's how it should work. Yeah, I guess that works too. So if I like spin, for example, just let it go. Now it's the boss is over, it just kind of releases it. There, that's perfect. That is pretty much what it should be. Now let's make the... I think, you know, instead of just having principles, I think we can just make this the whole thing. Yeah, this is actually fairly doable. So this is pretty much it for like the ground and stuff. Yeah, I could like... Basically, like for Sonic's, like for him to be limited to the play area, what I did back in the ATS days is that I would place like an active in here. That's all I would do, really, or like another one at the front. Like, how would you do if there's an object in there, like Mushroom Hill or Sonic Advance? You basically create them over here and you set them to move. Their position. Plus, it's like set X position to their own X position -1, or like minus whatever you want. In this case, we're setting -6, so it's set it to -6, so the velocity is constant. right? So you also set the smoke effects and stuff like that to do that. But it'll make everything look a lot more realistic. So now I'm not sure if we added the Delta's parallax system in here. Have we done that? Because if not, I can just open the other thing where we actually have added that. So right, yeah, let's just do that. We already covered how to add the parallax system from Delta before. So we can just go over here and open up that one. I had it saved. I didn't actually delete it, so here's what we're gonna do. Let's close everything. Click on a group and then right click and it should do that. Actions, no action, just over here. Let me just go into moving ground. I guess this event actually doesn't fuck up anything because the ground really starts moving when you get in there, so it's actually fine. Let me close this one. Save. Alright, so now that we actually have the parallax, what we're gonna do is now we're gonna clone this object. We're gonna copy it and paste it on, I think it should be like layer 3, it should be good enough. But since we actually altered the stage, let's just delete all those. Now we just go, man, those monitors fucking suck, fuck off. And now we're gonna put this in here, or like in here, something like that. And we need to make them this thing. It's gonna copy it, I'm gonna edit it, it's gonna put this in here and click this button. This is really all that it is. Let's make it like a slightly different color just so we know how to distinguish it. Make it like a yellowish. Turn the opacity way down. Let's color it. Now we can figure out what it is. Thing is, this is gonna cover the whole screen pretty much. Whatever, fuck off. So if we play, this is gonna cover the whole screen. We gotta do something about that. And one thing that we can do is that we can just make it invisible at the start. But we can do it over there. So we might, god damn it. I hate when I misclick. Like start a frame, visibility, show height. So now, what we're gonna do is that in here, you can go into just like one action event loops, visibility, image, show. Now you just need to set its values to something. In this case, I think D and E are already 0, so we're not gonna change them. So we're gonna set turbo value set turbo value F to timer divided by something. In this case, let's make it 60. And because I wanted to move at 6 pixels, I think I should do something like that. But instead of being here, I'm doing it always. Just move this in here. Add a comment. Jesus fuck, I literally just heard like some kind of explosion right now. And then again, afterwards you need to actually move the background too. Oh wow, that is like stuck to it. But it's all kinds of fucked for some reason. And I think that's why it's because we're timing it times 60. Because of that, the background there's like some rounding errors and there's something happening. You never time it towards 60, you time it towards a negative. It can never be a positive. Or else it's pretty weird. It's gonna be pretty weird. So yeah, this works, but it's actually pretty slow. So we need to increase the speed of it a little bit. But first, I kind of want to take those fucking things out. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go on Google. And what I was gonna do. Let's just set this to timer. Now let's set the timer. Time is -1. Divided by -1. I don't know what dividing by -1 does. I actually like forgot my math. And I fucking died. Oh yeah, I made that one thing too in this version. Holy shit, son! Oh, I think we need to do like 60 divided by 6 and see what happens. Yeah, that's what I was gonna do. I completely forgot about it. So what do we get? We get 10. I should have known. So, 10. Back in the before the sequel days, I didn't do any of this math. Like, any of it. What I did is that I would just try everything out until I saw something that worked. That's it. Fundamental truth about a lot of things that I did back in the day. Trying shit out. Now things work a lot better. No, I don't want to kill it. I got stuck inside of it. Great boss. And I'm the one who made it. So, yeah. Now I think if we stop, background should... Nah, it's not moving Sonic at the right speed that I want to. Yeah, I guess you really just have to try and error this shit. Like, find like one that works. You just try on and error this shit. Probably no better way than, really. Yeah, there we go. I think you got a much better speed now. And one way of testing if it's actually the right speed is to stop and let your character be followed through the thing. If he's moving faster, then it's not fast enough. So it probably needs to be like around 4. That's how I did it back in the day, and it does work right now. Yeah. Now maybe this is about right. No, it still is not going fast enough, but this does work. And it is somewhat what we want. Now you see the smoke effect behind Sonic? One thing that we absolutely can do and should do is in this always event over here, you grab the smoke effect, wherever it is, set its position to X, position of itself. In this case, it's just going to be anything because we're just setting it. Now once we do that and we actually go and test it out, it's going to look a lot better. Man, Shadow's boost is actually very, like, not strong. Yeah, you see that? Now it actually looks more like you're running. Because the smoke is actually lagging behind you. So yeah, it's pretty much right. That's pretty much how you make one of those bosses. The boss itself is just like an object. And yeah, we're walking on solid ground, but there's an object beneath us, and that object is not beneath us, above everything, and that's the parallax. So yeah, does work. Man, the insta shield is interesting, but it does add some issues. It'd be nice if we could just spawn a hitbox instead of checking if Sonic's in a ball or not. Just making Sonic invincible in a ball to enemies. What if you want the floor to be sloped? If you want the floor to be sloped, you're kind of fucked. The only other game that tried to do something like this is Freedom Planet, and yet it still failed. It actually did fail. It didn't make the ground move at all. In fact, when you go in it, you go into that one boss from, I think it's Relic Maze, it's the truck boss, where there's like a truck and you go in the truck and then they defeat like a little claw thingy. If you actually go in the ground, you actually know that the collision of the ground is misaligned with the parallax that goes over it. So it didn't do any of that. But if you want to make the ground move, you're just fucked. It's not going to work. As far as I can tell, no one has so far been able to do that in Fusion. I've tried myself several times, I've done it once technically in Fortress Flow, but it's just an active moving backwards. You can technically do that, but then the slope can't be very, very steep. You really just can't do that. But yeah, no, you're pretty much fucked. I mean, you can try doing that, but it's like it's not guaranteed that it'll work well. It might work, but it might have some glitches and some problems to it. And really, the best way of doing a boss fight like that is to actually just move the camera instead through like a place and not actually make it an infinite loop. Make it be over at some point. So there we go. Man, I've been at this for a while, so I'm gonna be ending this pretty soon. If you have any more questions, I'll be here. Like, you know bad, I rolls of supersonic. What? Would the background scroll doing the boss? What do you mean? Oh, the background, the actual background. Well, you just have to, you have to make the background scrolling clouds just like everything else. You would have to do that. That's one of the reasons why I sort of abandoned bosses like this for Spark. And when I did like one boss that was actually like this, the background was purposely kept static. All the music from this the stream has been from Danganronpa V3 and 2. I'll see the video soon, choppers. I should probably play it on stream. Let's do that then. Is there a ship posting? What the hell? Let's see. Can't have that. Okay, it works. Now the camera is like pretty much locked into the player, but it doesn't follow into the Y. That is pretty funny. That is actually pretty funny. It's a funny moment. It happened. It happened, guys. It happened. It's magic. There we go. There we go. Anything else? How to add shooting for Mega Man. Maybe I'll do an attack next time, but not right now. Should probably add it to a list. But in fact, I think I'm not gonna add anything to any list. I'm just gonna wait until you guys request anything next time. So, guess that's it, everyone. I'm quitting. Bye.